When you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Here we go once again, ladies and gentlemen. Final edition of the program for the week here on this Thursday evening. I am your host, Tyler Falk. Glad to have you along for this ride as we take a look at this weekend's matchups. The two final games before we hit the championship game. Lone Star Vancouver, Louisiana, Baltimore. Who comes out on top? Who do I think has the advantage? We'll talk about that and so much more this evening. All right. Let's go ahead and get to the first game of the weekend. This game going at 2:45 p.m. Eastern. If I have all my stats in a row, that'll be taking place over on Saturday. Just a quick look about how everybody's doing. I kind of went back to form back at 500 in terms of the playoff predictions go. As far as the SFL community goes, you guys had a better week. You guys went 2-2 this past week. So now let's go ahead and figure out what's going to happen these next couple of weeks. And I wasn't able to get the official spreads from Jack's data. If it changes a whole drastic, I don't think it will, because I think both games are indeed pick'ems for what they are. So we're just going to play it like they're both pick'ems for what they are. Lone Star Vancouver, the description says it all. This game will be decided by which team has the better halfback performance, whether that's Ike McBride or Robert Redford. When I'm taking a look at these two teams on paper, they surprisingly look very similar. Now, we know Vancouver has more of the explosive offense. If for more longer stretches of time, Lone Stars can get, had been muddled down for about half the season, but really turned it on in the later stages. And if it weren't for a good comeback from the Legion in Week 10, we probably would have seen Lone Star finish the season, with a good clip. Maybe 8-4. Maybe wouldn't have been the ceiling for Lone Star this season. Maybe they could have gone 9-3 if they had just put everything together against Vancouver. But that's a good game to look at if we're taking a look at these two teams. Redford, if I remember correctly, had himself a pretty solid day, where Ike McBride, I think, struggled a little bit. Again, if my memory serves me right. If we're taking a look at the teams in general, on paper, Vancouver has a little bit better offense. Okay, second most points per game, second most rushing touchdowns per game, or just in general, I should say, with 18. Top 10 in a majority of their stats. But then you look at Lone Star, and they're not too far off, right? Points per game, right around 30. That's good enough for, in terms of everybody, that's ninth. If I'm taking a look at both them and everybody else, that is, again, not the best out of the four, but their offense can make plays. It relies along having a more balanced attack. It relies around McBride getting enough touches so that Fennec doesn't have to feel like he's forced to throw a couple of passes. And this past week, when they played Sioux Falls, Fennec was forced to throw about 40 passes, completing around 65%, but that didn't end up hurting Lone Star in that contest. Again, coming away with the victory, of course. That was more relied heavily on what the defense was able to do. 3 turnovers from their defense in comparison to Fennec's 2 interceptions. So winning the turnover battle is going to be crucial again here with Vancouver. They're going to need to maintain that entire lead, and they're going to have to play a very, very good offense. They've already played them once before. Now let's take a look at Vancouver's defense. That's probably the weakest area on paper that they have, but Vancouver has known and it has been able to, for the majority of this season, save for one game against Charleston, is take care of the football and put Pepper and company in good positions to score and good positions to win. Lone Star win the turnover battle, and they get Robert Redford going on offense throughout the entirety of the football game, not just in the second half like we've seen in a few games previous, including the one versus Lone Star and the one versus San Diego to end out the season. A nice composed ball game. Vancouver takes this. Lone Star, the upstarts, right? I've been hard on them. I've been very hard on them throughout this entire season. But I think Lone Star give Vancouver another shot in the arm. I think Vancouver win, but I think it's closer than the 10-point spread that ended up in Week 10. I think maybe a 4, maybe even 3-point ball game to separate these two clubs. I think Lone Star really has proven that they have the pedigree and the acumen to take care of business against some tough opponents. They've only lost to good opponents, so losing to Vancouver for 2 times in a season wouldn't be all that bad. But I think Vancouver, I think they are going to host the championship game this season. So I'm going Vancouver by about 3, maybe 4 points in this contest. All right, let's take a look at Louisiana and Baltimore. This is the penultimate hurdle for the Vultures. This is the ultimate statement game for the Revolution. The only time that Baltimore was held under 20 points this season was against DC, who attempt to provide week in, week out good performances, no nonsense defensive football. Louisiana is going to be that and much more. It's another defensive battle that may just explode in the right or wrong way, depending on whose side you're rooting for, kind of like how Charleston and Louisiana's game went last week. Now, I think if this game explodes, I think it's going all in Baltimore's favor. The Revs are going to need to play, well, perfect football. It's going to be tough against the league's best team in 2 seasons, only losing 3 games this in an entire, 25 game stretch now since the beginning of season 17, if I do my quick maths right. It's not going to be easy. Louisiana, the offense on paper does not look promising. However, when they play and play right, they are pretty good. We saw that last weekend against Charleston, throwing the Preds for a couple loops. Revs take the victory. Baltimore dismantled London with great effect. With ease. Okay? Baltimore is going to have the, no doubt in my mind, clear advantage. I think it's at least, if I were to pick a spread, a 4-point advantage. Right around there. If I'm giving it to the Vultures, I'm giving it to them because they're gonna play consistent football. If the FBI comes out of nowhere and takes away the football at least 3 times, kind of like how T-Roy wanted the ball taken away at least 3 times versus London, I think the Revs come away with a surprise victory. I think if the Revolution can force turnovers, force mistakes out of Wigmore, and hold them everything underneath and nothing behind them as far as coverage goes, the Revolution have a shot. The offense, it all comes down to whether or not the Revolution offense is effective against Baltimore. Baltimore will knowingly come in expecting the run. It is going to force Tommy Utah to throw the football at least 30 times. I think the Revolution offense is going to be pressed to their breaking point. And when you press a whole lot of coal together, you sometimes get diamonds. So does the Revolution come out of nowhere to shock Baltimore, shock the SFL, and take the win? I don't think so. I think we're about a point or two behind Baltimore as far as what this game will probably end up being. I think it's going to be a carbon copy game of Florida versus Louisiana early in the season, but instead of the Revolution being on the winning end, they'll find themselves with a short side of the straw. So I'm picking Baltimore and Vancouver in the semifinals in two very close games. We're going to probably see the two best games played this weekend if everything goes to plan. So, what do you think? Who is going to the 18th SFL Championship? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the NETMA server Discord, which is linked down below. If you want to get involved in the SFL, link to the official website with all that information is on the description as well. We got SFLM tomorrow as well. Let's go ahead and just do a quick pick'em segment for the minor leaguers as well. Talk a little bit about that this week. We'll talk more about that after the regular season for the pros gets over. But as far as who you got as far as this week goes, let's see. Tacoma, Albuquerque, I'm going Tacoma. Annapolis, San Jose, Annapolis. Lexington, Ottawa, I am going Ottawa. Madison, Lincoln, I'm heading to Lincoln. Lincoln train once again. All right, that is everything. Much respect to everybody in the playoffs, Baltimore especially. We will see you after the weekend for the championship week of the show. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.